So, hi everyone, I'm Paul. I'm working with NSDL e-Governance Infrastructure Limited. And here I have with me Ms. Minol Ajekar. She's one of the very finest women leaders that I've worked with in the corporate world. She's currently heading the Corporate Communications and CSR at Puravankara Ltd, Bangalore. Today, we're going to speak about Vidyasarathi, especially Puravankara's experience joining Vidyasarathi and how we implemented this project. Before we start on with the conversation, I would like to introduce Minol, but I'm not going to take too long. But three things I want to tell. One is she's bold. She can empathize with the underprivileged and the underserved, and she can get things done in the corporate world. So very brief, and we'll get on with the session now. And before Minol, before we can get on with Vidyasarathi specific, I would like to understand, or I would like to get some insights from you on the other different projects that you're working in the CSR space from Puravankara.
Sure. Thank you for having me, Paul. I'm happy to be, talking to the world about Vidyasarathi and what it's done for Puravankara. Just very quickly, Paul, even before CSR became mandatory in India, the promoter of this company, Ravi Puravankara, feels very strongly about helping. So while there has not a formal mandate, but from 2 decades, Puravankara has always been involved. And there is 3 areas that are favorites of the organization. One is the environment. We are very conscious of the sector we work in, and we want to minimize impact there. Education, especially early education and also undergrad levels, because we feel that there might be a lot of dropouts that might be happening. It was some research that we read and that was shared to us. And the other field that we have been open participants is, of course, during force majeures. And we've been big contributors to whether it's the Prime Minister's Relief Fund or the CM Relief Fund. For example, when we were hit with the pandemic, Puravankara went out of their way and we procured testing kits for all of Karnataka, very, very early in the first week of April. And we actually did the end-to-end ourselves. We even did the logistics ourselves. We ensured that the testing kits came from Pune to here, so that the authorities didn't have to use their bandwidth. So these are the sort of spheres that we have been working with. We have been working with several, reputed nonprofits, without getting into names here. One of the bigger foundations we work with, I'll name them, is Vohad, and we partner with them for their Khel Khel Mein program, which deals with early education, especially for the marginalized. And we are targeting kids between the ages of 5 and 12. And let me call it like a sort of surrogate Anganwadi. So this is, a post-school program where they have a place to come to, where they will learn, study, interact, maybe get a meal. This happens between 4 and 7 p.m. in the evenings. So that's been a very successful program that we have run here. And of course, like I said, because education has been one of our favorites, and we probably have been doing ad hoc for a while. When a few years ago, we had a huge discussion, and our board and our CSR committee said, can we formalize this whole piece where we're not just doing one-off events, or we're not just making one-off contributions, but can we have a sustainable long-term program where we are working with children, we're actually seeing impact. And you would know better than anyone that long-term impact only happens when you're doing the same program for a minimum of 3 to 5 years.
Right.
So, and that's where Vidyasarathi comes into.
Right. Yeah, but before we get on to Vidyasarathi specifics, I would like to highlight what you said about the testing kits. I still remember, I am following you on LinkedIn. So I remember this, your chairman and MD gifting or sponsoring testing kits to Mr. Yediyurappa, the Chief Minister of Karnataka. I think it is very thoughtful of your company to do it, because that is when the health sector was ramping up the testing. but in many parts of the country, people could not get enough testing kits. So I think it's very considerate of you to sponsor those testing kits to the government, especially directly, right? So thank you for that, and thank you for all the other information. So let us get on to Vidya Sarathi specifics. I think it was in 2018 that we first met. In fact, it was our AVP, Mr. Vineet Nair, who met you first at your office.
That's right.
Yeah. So could you please tell me, what was your first thought when you heard about Vidya Sarathi?
Okay, so I will like to first talk about NSDL, which before Vidya Sarathi, because for me, when we said, somebody said let's meet. For me, it was NSDL. We are a listed company. We of course work with NSDL on several other departments, and we know trusted name, integrity, and there'll be no doubt as to the end-to-end functionality of it being completely robust and taken care of. So my first instinct of going ahead with the meeting was NSDL. Vidya Sarathi was not a known entity to me then. So I have to give credit to NSDL for that. So when your VP did come in, and he actually was very, very comprehensive, and even the presentation was very comprehensive. Like your team preempted all the questions that we were going to have. So they were very in-depth in explaining to us how the program works, and how NSDL is just sort of an overseer of the entire program to ensure that the robustness is there. But how you'll partner with TIS, that was another huge point of favor for Vidya Sarathi, because then we are not experts on who deserves a scholarship and who doesn't. What we know is, can we help somebody? But when you have an educational institute of great repute like TIS, that actually was maybe the straw that broke the camel's back in our instance. And what was another huge factor of assurance for me, Paul, was the amount of corporates that NSDL had already worked with on the Vidya Sarathi program. I remember there were some big names as Ambuja and
ACC was there.
ACC and
GSW was there.
Exactly, and not just doing it 1 year, 2 years, but a sustained long-term program. I think that your team explained the whole process very well. And I think also another thing that was very reassuring was that the process of who deserves a scholarship, the onus is not falling on us. The onus was not on NSDL, but it was on TIS, people who actually know how to pick and choose children. So for me, that was a huge relief point. And also it was very reassuring to also hear your team tell us that if we were just to give them a sphere of influence, like if we were to say, because Paul, I'm very keen of impacting the community, right? I'm very keen on impacting the actual community that we exist in. So, and because we exist in more than 7 or 8 cities, the idea of partnering with Vidya Sarathi was trying to get out of Bangalore. And that's why our first pilot program was in Goa, where so for me, when I said, I don't want to do it in Bangalore, I want to do it in another city, and I want to ensure that it's in the community where, we exist, your team immediately said that's not a problem. We have the resources and we have the bandwidth to be able to do all this for you. So that was a huge turning factor also, that because again, maybe in Bangalore or Bombay, we do have spheres of influence, but in the tier 2 cities, as a corporate, we don't know what is happening. So all these things made Vidya Sarathi stand out from the other people that we had spoken with for similar scholarship programs and partnerships.
Great, thank you so much. So, in fact, this question about Goa was one of the subsequent things which I wanted to ask about. But anyway, we'll come to that later specifically. And next, I want to know is, how easy or was it difficult for you to convince the board on Vidya Sarathi?
Okay, so I mean, you said something right in the beginning that said that I can make things happen. I'm very privileged that in a way that my board has immense trust on me, because they know that I truly, for me, CSR extends beyond the mandatory, and we have to do this, and we're a listed company, and we are answerable to someone. for me, if we're not making impact, there's no point spending money. So I think I'm very privileged that my management and also our external directors have huge trust in me when they know that if I'm making a recommendation, I have done thorough research. They were of course a little skeptical about the selection of children and how we would ensure that there was gender parity and the right kind of, we were impacting the right kind of families. And they came back with those sort of questions after I presented. But then when they heard that it was TIS that was going to run that piece of the program, that gave them some peace. But I have again been reporting back to them diligently because it was a pilot program. We were trying for the first time. So for this particular program, I went back to them every month to give them an update. So that was good. But I think the most important thing here is that, again, education is very, very dear, not, to the promoter of the company, to our managing director. So when we speak about running a program that is actually going to impact, because you educate a child, you're impacting a family, you're not just impacting one
absolutely.
child.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's the thought that runs through the DNA of the company. So when we run educational based CSR, it works out easier for me, to be honest.
Okay, great. That was wonderful. So, Minol, next question is, you told us with this Arati, and we are not an NGO. We are a corporate. But almost all the other projects that you have worked with must be with the NGOs. Did you find anything different in terms of the approach and compliance, that is different or stood out from the NGOs and us?
There is obviously going to be that the reporting structures that a corporate has is going to be far more robust than the reporting structure of an NGO. So I think one thing would be that maybe the reports that came from NSDL were proactive versus NGOs reactive. But I am not taking away from any of the work that the NGO does. What I think maybe stands out for NSDL is, while they're a large corporate and they are running this program, let's call it, CSR, the fact, and I'm actually a huge fan of this, just because people are working in CSR, that image of carry a jhola, khadi, and self-sacrificing, that I don't believe in that line of thought. Unfortunately, maybe I'll get some brickbats for that, because only if the environment is sustainable and we are all working cohesively and making money are we able to help other parts of society. So for me, the distinction between a NGO and corporate is not that much, as far as the impact is large and the same. So, and you guys had a pretty impressive background when you already came. So I did not look, I would not view it with a derision or suspicion that, why does a corporate want to enter the field?
Right.
A corporate should enter the field. More corporate should enter the field.
Right. No, I can definitely relate to what you're saying. It's always better to be logical than be emotional, while taking decisions in the corporate world. So what you said is absolutely right. So next, what do you? I actually want to know about this Goa thing, because you're expanding your footprint, in a big way. You're expanding not only in the tier 1 cities but also in tier 2 cities.
That's true.
But why specifically Goa?
Okay. I mean, your team knows this. I probably chose in my head the hardest city for to see whether if a pilot program that we are running works in what is maybe not the easiest city to find colleges and to implement the program, and if Vidyasarthi could pull that off, they can pull off many other things. So I had so maybe it was a little bit of a litmus test also for Vidyasarthi. But the thing is, the timing was very coincidental. You said you first came in 2018, and I think we met in July or August, if memory serves me. And early July is when we launched our project in Goa.
Okay.
The timing of it was very coincidental. We had a new project where in a new city, and like I said, our DNA is always, our entire ethos is always about impacting the community. So while I was thinking, how am I going to impact the community in Goa, this meeting happened. So I think it was just some all the dots just joined together at that time.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, Minol, before we move on to the next question, do you mind if I read out some statistics from you sponsoring in Goa?
No, not at all. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. You chose two different colleges. One is MES College of Commerce and Science, and the other one is Goa College of Architecture. And you sponsored 25,000 rupees flat for students who are pursuing architecture, and 10,000 flat for students who are pursuing commerce and science streams. Right. So in total, you sponsored around 28 students last time, and I personally and our team personally got so many calls from the students. They were really happy and excited, and in fact, the professors were. You must have met Ms. Shivani. She was also very happy and excited. And in fact, I actually wanted to know about your experience, because you were there at the felicitation event in Goa. I want to know your experience, because I think some girl children came up to you and were asking something from you, right? So could you please, share that with us?
So first of all, it was really nice of Vidya Sarthi to ensure that I was also there while the scholarships were announced. So it really made me personally, feel really nice about it, and I really felt it was good to see. As corporates, we see impact, but it's more statistics, data on a report. But it was really nice to see a human face to actually what we were doing. To answer your question, I think after the scholarships were announced, and they were, of course, like I told you, one thing I was very insistent upon was I wanted gender parity.
I'm sorry to interrupt. In fact, you also gave preference to single parents.
I did.
Yes.
I did. And of course, we also spoke about if there were children coming from the Adivasi or the tribal areas, that they would also be given preference.
Right.
So, because
I'm sorry,
of all
on
these things,
that.
yeah. So because we said all these things, it was I think the young kids that we were impacting was so diverse. They all were from different backgrounds, and it felt good. The girls, of course, all came up to me and asked me they asked me for career advice. So it was really that was really interesting. They all wanted to know what should they do and what should they pursue, because they also want to be like me, and that was really heartfelt. It really touched me. It was very, very nice.
Right. I hope it was really gratifying for you. I think this is what we call gratification, right? So meeting all the children you sponsored and seeing them happy. It was wonderful. So Minol, I'm sorry, you were about to say something, right?
No, I also want to say that, I know you guys got a lot of calls and everything, but I got emails from both the college professors, from the father at the architect college, and even the principal, like a couple of months ago, to again say thank you. And all the kids passed out, so that was really great. Also, I think it happened during lockdown. I think I've forgotten to mention it to you. I should share that.
Yeah, no problem. Wonderful. So, Minol, we have come to the close of the session. So, do you want anything to say about Vidya Sarthi?
Okay, I do want to say that obviously the fact that we are now expanding the Vidya Sarthi program to Pune also this year. It's testament to the fact that obviously the program was successful, and we were content with the way that things were laid out for us. We're of course continuing the program in Goa, so now we have Vidya Sarthi in Goa and Pune. And what I would like to tell everybody, and this is that while Vidya Sarthi is a program that is happening, I think everyone needs to do their own research and development. They might, as far as there are many scholarship programs out there, and I'm sure a lot of corporates want to invest in it. And this testimonial video probably helps. And the reason, the reason I agreed to do it is because it would mean that more corporates are investing in the education sector. And for me, that is the larger picture. But with Vidya Sarthi, at least, I have the peace of mind that the due diligence is absolutely robust. NSDL is involved. That's not going to not happen. And again, this is involved. So we are absolutely seeing that the scholarships go in the right place. So for me, Vidya Sarthi gives me peace of mind that it's not something that I have to worry about in that sense as to how the channeling of the funds is going to happen. So if, you make the commitment and then you get the gratification by seeing whose lives are impacted. For me, that experience was great, and we hope to replicate it in other cities, starting Pune this year.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you for adding Pune this year and continuing the scholarships. We are very glad that you're part of Vidya Sarathi, and we hope to continue this partnership for a very long time. Thank you so much. And I'm pretty sure that the children and the students and the staff would be delighted hearing this. I feel, it is better I would get the professor on a call with you. You can directly tell them about this. I think they'll be really delighted.
We'll talk about that, Paul.
Sure.
We'll talk about
Sure. So thank you so much, Minol, for taking time and accepting our request to join the session. Thank you so much. It was wonderful having you here.
Thank you for having me, Paul, and good luck.
Thank you.